All right, everybody. Special edition week 3 recap. Before I introduce our new co-host, who you guys are going to love, I'm just going to touch on what we've been doing for you the last 3 weeks. A, giving out $100 a weekend. B, giving out Eagles tickets. C, we're up 15 units on the year.
Yep.
That's $500 a week for the $100 better. I mean, you can't find somebody that's giving more to the people. Then take your pick. And I'm giving you something special on a Wednesday morning for your ride into work. I'm here with Matt, longtime friend, good golf partner, and an even better man. Matt, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. No, I just want everyone to know I'm potentially buying a new roof for my shed off these picks. So it's working, man. It's working.
You think about putting the bar in?
Yeah, we're gonna cover it up and then we'll throw a little bar in the side. If we keep hitting, man, let's keep going.
We're gonna buy a cabana. How you doing? Yeah, I see. It's nice to have somebody here drinking on a fine glass of red with me. I find that it's frowned upon to drink at noon on a Sunday. I'm like, what world? If that's the world that we're living in, I don't want to live in it. That's how I feel.
Nah, you just need some blinders, Mike. Don't worry about the static. Just focus on yourself here.
You've known me a long time. It's just noise. It's just noise. So easy to tune out.
It's very easy, and it's really good to just, enjoy yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. It's hard to enjoy other people, but you have to enjoy yourself. But moving along, that red started to go down a little bit easier watching that Birds game.
It's true. That was really, really clean start to finish game by them.
As a good football mind and somebody's football perspective that I respect personally, like, you have to feel a certain type of way watching Jalen Hurts play quarterback. You know who he reminds me of? A young Matt in that Rose jersey. How you doing?
He's got way more girth and a lot more speed, but it is really nice to see. I just remember previously, in the summer here, I heard a lot of trash talk about getting Hurts out of here. He's a horrible quarterback. He didn't get it done last year. I stood behind him. I always thought, the world of him, even when he was going back and forth through the colleges, universities. I thought the world of him, and for him to show up this year with a different mindset, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, when you see those, like Monday night, they showed the video of him squatting 600 pounds.
Right.
And Troy Aikman's just like, why?
Right.
And in my head, I'm just like, it's because he can.
That's right.
And you can't.
Yeah.
Don't be a hater.
And he scored probably 3 touchdowns because of the strength of his legs. So it's going hand in hand.
You got those calves.
I got the calves, man. He's got the quads. I got the calves.
Yeah. You two together is a dangerous combination. No, I mean, and honestly, God, you're watching on one end, Jalen Hurts throw for 300 yards, rush for God knows how many, carrying people on his back. And then we watch our previous quarterback not know how to go to a second read or second option and just refuses to throw the ball away.
Yeah.
Gets sacked 9 times. Matt, 9? Dude, that's hard to do, even with a good defensive line on the other side and a bad O-line. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I thought that was insane to watch. I had Carson Wentz over 1.5 touchdowns, so it was sad to see. I just thought he'd come to Philly, and I thought he'd, crank at least 2 in, and, I thought it'd be a nice game. I thought it'd be a good game. I thought they'd hang around. But that defense was all over Carson. It looked like the Carson from like college freshman year. I didn't know what was going on. But I think the Eagles defense is really what's, keeping them going.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because after week 1, I feel you and I talked about this. Like, they look a little iffy.
They do. They did.
And ever since that, I feel like people started talking down on them, and they look like the best defensive unit, arguably behind the Buccaneers, who looked really good against the Packers. But when you get 9 sacks, locking down Justin Jefferson, nobody can run on you now. I mean, what do you want people to do, man?
We'll see how the year progresses. 3 games in, but I really like what I see from a run stopping standpoint. If you look at who they've stopped some high quality people, and if they want to run, go ahead, But it
Yeah.
really comes down to our D-backs. You end up playing a playoff game and people can do any playoff plays or, playoff rollouts and hit someone over the middle, deep drag, deep post. We got to keep up with them. So I'm eager to see what happens with the Birds in the backfield there defensively.
Actually, that you just brought up a really good point, because when you think about it, they played Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, and Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Once you start to see playoff caliber quarterbacks,
Yep.
that looks totally different.
Yep.
So
Like that. I always think back to San Fran. They run that power off the tackle, and then they roll out the opposite way with two receivers, a tight end, and a running back. It's like, that's a little bit different from a defensive standpoint. So, we've seen it before. I'd like to see them stop it this year and make their way back to obviously the golden field. So we'll see. What really, really, really surprised me this week, Mike, is just how comfortable Hurts looked back there. And I give credit to the O-line, but I also give credit to obviously getting A.J. Brown. So when you have multiple good receivers, right, it's a little bit easier to look both ways and not just be stuck on one target. You can then read the field a little bit easier, see who's in man, see who's in zone, see who's off, see who's on. And I think he's really getting comfortable with that because he has confidence in obviously his good buddy and then his other good buddy from last year. And then, Quez Watkins, he's got speed and can't coach speed. So if you can find a hole and throw him in it, I mean, that's 3 weapons plus the running back plus his legs. That's a great offense.
That's a dangerous combination. That reminds me, Pancras Circuit 2009. But you make a good point. It has to feel good when you have somebody you trust with your life.
Right.
Is out there. It's like, all right, when all else fails, I'm turning to you and putting it up there because I know you're coming down with it. And you know how that feels.
It's you know where they're going to be before they're even there. It's actually pretty cool that they all played kind of together, over the years. And I just hope, Hurts brings a title home because he really deserves it after his college show.
Yeah. I mean, okay. It's funny. You're transitioning into my next point. And I'm only asking you this because you have a rocket. What are your thoughts on Tua's arm mechanics?
It's really it's like Pete Wheeler, backyard baseball. It's like it's not like pretty. It's going to get there, but it's going to be a little fluffy, He's got some speed. I haven't seen it this year, but he's kind of just lofted it up. But he has speed too. So if you just find a hole and then place it there, they're going to go get it. I think that's why they're winning. It's basically off that speed. It's hard to stop that. I'm not too impressed with Tua, honestly, but this Sunday proved that they could score. He didn't have the greatest game. I thought it was more defensive and a lot of back and forth. I'm sure a lot of people had the over, and it ended up sneaking under by a good bit. So I think that had something to do with it. But yeah, what do you think about Tua?
I think the guy's a squid.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, and when I've gone back and watched each of their 3 games, they are the luckiest 3-0 team I've seen in a couple of years. And I'm not taking away you're 3-0 in the NFL. You're a good football team. That is a fact. But the Ravens had no business losing that football game.
No.
That was a total implosion. And Josh Allen, huge fumble in at terrible field position. You give them essentially a touchdown. And then that last pass, Josh Allen just forgot to throw a football.
The Bills, not the Ravens. Yeah. No, that was weird to see. I thought that was a funky game. I didn't really, that and the game we just talked about, the Colts win. I thought they were both little frugal there with how that worked out.
Yeah, I mean, we lived together for a long time. We would know instantly if we had money on a game. It's like refs are way too involved.
Yep, way too involved.
It's not going to go the way that we want it to go.
Yep, I saw a stat: 93% of the money was on the Chiefs.
That's never the side you want to be on.
Right, and the same thing with the Bills. I'm sure. I'm sure it was a 60 to 70. I think it was 70% on the Bills. And then same thing, with the rest of the stuff this week. When I saw those 2.5 spreads, I knew something was funky.
Yeah, it was all pegged. I feel like when you just look at a slate overall and you just breeze through it, you're like, this is set for like a wanky football week.
Yep.
I feel like you could tell by the numbers, you just know it's like there's going to be some dogs in the hunt here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugly football teams that are going to be good football teams that they have really no business in that moment. Like the Colts get shut out by the Jaguars, who we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yep.
You go from getting shut out by the Jaguars to beating the Chiefs. It's like, who are you?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't expect that happening, but we'll get into that in a little bit here.
Yeah. First and foremost, I need to touch on one division that everybody pegged to be one of the better divisions in football in a while. And I'm guilty of that. None of those teams look good, in my opinion.
Where are you talking here?
The AFC West.
No, the West. Okay. I mean, yeah.
The Chargers are still frauds.
He looks like he's been getting mani-pedis, man. Fucking Russell Wilson. Something's going on there.
He looks domesticated.
He does. He's like a werewolf in the living room. He's like waiting for the owner to let him out. It's like, no, you take that door, you knock it down.
He looks like a caged dog. And then the Chiefs look like beatable. Say what you want about the toys don't matter. You lose Tyreek Hill, it's different.
Yeah, you can see it. But Kelsey's obviously they've had speed for the last couple of years. So
yeah,
they lost Tyreek Hill and they gained a couple other slot receivers who also have speed. Obviously you don't have that record breaking speed, but those guys are still pretty fast. I'm actually happy to see Mahomes. I don't think many people thought he was going to do well without Tariq. And for him to kind of show up a little bit, obviously not this week, this past week, but the first 2 weeks that he looked solid. The offense was good. That running game is not there for the Chiefs. I think they'll definitely blow over their division. I had high hopes for the Chargers, but they're kind of iffy right now. I also had high hopes for the Raiders, and I'm not really seeing it. I would be looking at Devontae Adams 70% of my throws if I was a quarterback. And for him to not see 15 balls a game, you might not win with that, So it's interesting to see how horrible that division is now this year. But you never know. The Chargers, I'm pretty sure, had a iffy beginning of the year last year. And then they turned it on and kept going. So you never know first couple of weeks, but it'd be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I find the Chargers really interesting when no one expects anything from them. They're great.
Yeah.
But as soon as a little bit of pressure's on them, and it's been like this way for as long as I can remember.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as people peg the Chargers to be like a Super Bowl contender, implosion. But as soon as they're counted out, they're putting up 40 points a game.
Yep.
I just can't figure out like what it is in that organization that they just can't keep it together when it matters.
Mike, it really comes down to here. I'm going to pull this up here. It really comes down to that running back who got picked top 5 in probably 90% of the leagues.
Austin Eckler,
36 yards rushing first week, 39, and then 5. Obviously had receiving in that. But for him not to be getting close to 100 yards a game, you're not gonna score. You're not gonna win. And everyone's big on Herb, so I'm waiting to see it. I do think he's a heck of a quarterback. Keenan Allen hasn't been doing much. I just think they're kind of, I think they went in thinking they were top upper echelon, and they're kind of getting kicked right in the So.
It's a little bold for a team that didn't make the playoffs to feel that way going into the season.
Yeah.
I think that's a big problem with like that team. You're in California. Nobody cares. But when you get national media hype, like nobody's holding them accountable in their hometown.
Yep.
If that makes any sense.
No, you're right. And for me, last year, Mike Williams was catching like 70-yard touchdown passes. I haven't seen that from Mike Williams in 5 years, So I think last year could have been a fluke year, but they have a lot of talent.
So much talent, dude.
So much talent, but hey, if you can't score, you're not going to win. And the Eagles were exactly that almost last year and the year before. They could barely score. A lot of 3rd and 12s, 3rd and 14s, 3rd and 8s. They just couldn't convert. And if you can't convert first downs and you can't score, then you're having a tough time winning any ball game.
But that's all builds off of your point you made earlier. When you can't run the ball,
right,
nothing else matters. So you're talking about Mike Williams. Austin Eckler only has 5 rushing yards. All they have to worry about is don't get beat deep.
Exactly.
Because you're not gaining anything on the ground. So what else do we have to worry about?
You're right.
Yeah, that's a play calling issue to me.
It's got to be
the run, dude. Especially with a team with those weapons, they have to respect the deep ball. Yep. So you can't have that many bodies inside. You have to get the run going, pull some people down, then you exploit it. I mean,
right. Then you drop it over top. Last year, Eckler was having 90, 100+ yard games, and when you bring those backers up and then you start playing doing some play action,
see you later.
Right. It's a little hard to stop. It's that high flying offense is really what I think the Eagles in that Super Bowl year, they could run and then they brought everyone down and then they had the RPO right behind the linebackers. And then they had the deep ball.
Yeah. Everybody says it's a pass heavy league, but if you don't have the run game to complement it, it really doesn't matter. And I'm not saying you need to lean on it, but it needs to be there when they don't respect it.
Right.
It's like, all right, well, we're still going to gash you for 8. And then you're going to put us in 2nd and 2. And now we have a free play essentially.
Yep.
And then we just go get the first. These guys just try to reinvent the wheel.
They do.
So, quick look ahead spot. Thursday night, a little wanky game.
I was looking at that earlier.
I'm seeing Bengals -3.5, and that hook it's tough to back them because the Dolphins defense, they're solid on paper. They've given up a lot of points. Like the Ravens exploited them, but then they buckled down when it mattered most. They held the Bills in check.
I think I wrote one thing down before we hopped on here, Mike. It's a song. It's Florence and the Machines. The dog days are over. I think that's week 4, man. I think the dog days are over for a good amount of these teams. I think everyone's riding on the Dolphins just because of the Bengals start. I think the Bengals could possibly demolish them, win by 10+.
A little alternate line action.
Yeah, I think so too. I'd take the Bengals +3 for, possibly the house. But also, I think there's also doubt, that I keep going back to that Super Bowl year, but the Dolphins are reminding me of the Eagles Super Bowl year. They were dogged every week, and they kept winning outright, and nobody believed them the entire year. So maybe that's them. I know Tyreek Hill had a rough week. Excuse me. But just looking at this, the money line +176 for Miami, everyone's jumping on that. I would take the Bengals. That's probably my only play this week that I'm going to hit on Thursday. The money line's -210, so it's very enticing to go the other way at a +176. So I'm going to rest there.
I feel like, and this better than anybody, when Vegas is begging you to take a team, always look the other way.
Always look the other way. And I don't think many people will be on the Bengals this week. They are at home. They're going to see that 3.5. And I think people are going to love that hook, like you said. I can't lose by a field goal, right?
Yeah.
You can lose by 2 touchdowns, though.
You can. You can. No, it's because the thing that concerns me, because I've been kind of following the Bengals through these, I don't want to say like the Super Bowl hangover, but maybe it was for them just because they got there and where they were in like the doldrums of the NFL. And then to get there is like winning it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Their defense doesn't look good. Miami's offense at any given moment can go berserk. All it takes is one play for them. That is the scary thing. They're always in the football game because they have the 2 wide receivers that can catch a bubble screen and take it to the crib.
That's right.
So that makes me nervous, but it's these primetime games come down to what quarterback do you trust more? And Joe Burrow's one of the coolest dudes on the planet.
Yeah, I think and I think they got they got kicked in the face first 2 weeks. I don't know if Vegas had a hand in that. They may have. He threw a couple picks that were a little goofy there. But I'm very superstitious with that, Mike, as you know. That over-under's at 47. I don't even want to look at that. That could go either way. I just don't see how it's that low with that team. I guess they're banking on a defensive game, or everyone wants to take the Thursday night under. That's like 6-1 in the past 7 games or something I saw.
That number is so true.
Yeah.
That number, it's that is a missed extra point from going under, and a 2-point conversion from going over.
Yep. It's honestly, I could see a Bengals a 27-12, or 10. Sorry, a 27-10 game. I just don't see how.
Won't rule out the 12 because Joe Burrow's offensive line still doesn't know how to protect him. I can see a safety in there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past him. All right, I have a couple more questions about 2 teams. It really covers a division. It's the NFC North. And who do you have in the mix there? Because you saw the Packers get beat up by the Vikings. You saw the Vikings get beat up by the Eagles. Then you see the Packers not beat up the Bucks because they didn't, but that's a huge win for them. And then don't forget, the Lions are still a tough football team. They put up a good fight against the Eagles.
They did. They can score. I don't know about their defense too much. The Lions, the Bears, as we know, their offense is a little iffy, but they're beating teams. They're putting up more than 14 points like they usually do.
Yeah.
They're kind of getting over that hump, and maybe it was the Mitch Trubisky effect and switching it up. But that is very tight. If you were gonna, tie me down with a gun to my head, I'm taking the Packers.
And I can't ever be mad at you for that. I don't know why. I feel like I'm the only guy in America that doesn't like Aaron Rodgers.
No.
It's not like I like Kirk Cousins either.
No, I'm not a big fan of A-Raj. I just think if there's a Vikings-Packers game on a Sunday night or a primetime game at all during the end of the year, I'm taking the Pack no matter what. But hey, that's why you play the game. That's why you line up. That's why you get dressed. That's why you show up.
And that's why we start drinking at 12 on Sunday.
Talk to me, Mike. Talk to me about the Panthers. And we're going to go on a little Baker tangent here. I know we're running out of time. 1 and 2. I don't see much coming from this team here. They're
finding a way to stay in games. And to me, I said this weeks ago, Matt Rule, if they don't come out winning games, should have been on the hot seat. I don't understand why he keeps selling draft picks for NFL quarterback rejects. You go from Sam Darnold, who the Jets didn't want, then you go to Baker Mayfield, who the Browns didn't want. And granted, you didn't give up a ton, but it's at some point, just accept the rebuild and build it the right way. You can't keep plugging in mediocre quarterbacks that couldn't get it done elsewhere, because this is the NFL, dude.
Right.
This is not the Big 12. I don't even know what conference Temple's in. You're not coaching there anymore.
No, and I think Baker's a good quarterback. Obviously 1 and 2 isn't showing that. But I also, I CMC's not getting, them CMC love. I think teams are going to hound in on that, and I think they could hang around, honestly, Mike. It's early in the year. They put up 62 points and they allowed 59 in the first 3 games. So if that defense can hold, a couple touchdowns, man, each game, a touchdown or a field goal or 2, they could possibly be 2-1, possibly 3-0 without that first week.
That team, it all boils down to, does Baker Mayfield throw an interception? If he takes care of the football, they find a way to win.
Yeah.
And, that's pretty much around the NFL every Sunday. You take care of the football, you'll probably win the football game.
Yep.
But that's his MO lately. I don't know what his deal is. And I love Baker Mayfield. I think he's the man.
Yep.
I think he got dealt a very raw hand in Cleveland, because people forget that kid dropped the ball fumbled it on the 2-yard line to go up a couple scores against the Chiefs in the
Right.
playoffs.
That's
That
right.
game and his career goes way different if he doesn't fumble that ball.
I don't see much offensive weapons, honestly, this year either. Like DJ Moore, stealing money.
Yes.
He was going like third, fourth, fifth round in fantasy, and I was a sucker. I took him. He's on my bench now. But he has those 15-point, 20-point weird games 3 a year. But Mike,
he'll do it 2 weeks after you put him comfortably on your bench.
right when I think he's down and out, he puts up 2 touchdowns and 120 yards. Just because I have Nick Chubb, Mike, I'm going to talk about the Browns a little bit.
Go ahead.
That duo, man, and that Brissett fella, man, he's playing like a veteran.
He is a veteran, man.
I know, but he's playing like he's been starting for teams, going to the playoffs year after year, and he's playing some ball, man. He is playing some ball.
I feel like he's that guy. It's like, all right, we need you for 4 to 6 weeks. Get us 500.
Right.
And if you do that, we are in the mix. And
Yep.
he's doing exactly what they need him to do. Because the Ravens, they look good. You couldn't lose that game to Miami. That could come back to bite them.
Right.
But people forget, I don't know how this Deshaun Watson thing's going to pan out. Like after his suspension, if the Browns are in neutral and then you plug Deshaun Watson in with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Amari Cooper, and that defense, there's a lot of big names over there. I think the defense ain't good, but no one cares what I have to say about that.
They got a good line. That's what's going to stop the run. But
to your point, like they're a little scary.
Yeah, I wouldn't want. I'd say the Browns-Birds game, if that was a game here, I wouldn't trust the Birds stopping both those running backs, honestly.
See, I get a little worried because you look at the Birds' schedule and people keep talking about how it's so easy. There are so many. It's either you're a decent team underperforming or you're a good organization in a down year where it's like every week is a trap game. And obviously they're not going to go undefeated. You're going to have a couple blunders, blemishes on the record. But like you look at it and it's like Steelers, Redskins, or said the R word, I'm sorry, Commanders. And then it's like division and you mix in the Cardinals. And then people thought the Jags were going to be a cakewalk. That's far from it. Let's touch on that real quick. You got Dougie P coming back. That's a tough football game. They're rocking and rolling.
Their offense is surprising me. I didn't think that was going to happen, man. They have 2, running backs, which are power backs. I like the rookie. And obviously Robinson, that's your boy from last year.
Dude's a beast, man.
They're sharing touches, and I think with the receiving core, I think Christian Kirk surprised me, but that's like their Cooper Kupp. He can play the slot. He can play out wide. But they actually look to go for him a lot. I'm a little worried about this one here that, everyone's going to be high on the Eagles. I could see the Jags hanging around. And I thought the same thing last week with the Redskins, or I'm sorry, I said the R word, Commanders. But I mean, I could see this being a good game. It's a shootout. It's a 48.5, over under. I could see this one. Who knows? Maybe shootout. Maybe the Birds
20.
Yeah, hopefully the Birds show up, man. I really want to see the Birds continue their success, but
I think they're going to show up. And I'm taking a new approach to the Eagles. Instead of not touching them when I know that they're now in the mix, I'm just going to keep paying for them to beat teams by over a touchdown.
I like that.
If the Birds are going to keep laying 7 and say they get a scrappy win by 4, I'll cash out on the +7 ticket and get a win. And if the Birds totally disappoint me and lose, it's like, all right, that's a win in the record column for me.
I think if this comes down to Trevor Lawrence going against the Birds' defensive line, and he's getting pressure like they did last week, he's going to have a very rough Sunday. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback. I mean, he's putting up 20, 30 plus games. He's finding a way. their defense was stopping last week. It was like, who is this team? And
The last 2 weeks, they shut
last
out
2
the Colts.
weeks. Yep. I didn't see that one coming either. So,
But that was a classic Matt Ryan blunder.
yeah,
Dude, every time he got to the red zone throwing a pick, it's like, bro, you're too old for this.
I know.
What I think bodes well for the Eagles is the fact that this is actually Trevor Lawrence's first big football game in the NFL.
I guess against a proven defense the first couple weeks. So
it's like there hasn't been pressure on him where it's like, oh, you're in Jacksonville. It doesn't really matter. Anything you do exceeds expectations. Now it's like, okay, you've won 2 games handedly. You're going to play, no doubt, a top 5 football team in the NFL. Now people are expecting things of you, and I'm not saying the pressure matters to him because he's been doing that at every level, but like it gets a little different on Sunday.
It does. And when you play at the Philadelphia Stadium, it's always tough. That thing's gonna be booming. It's a 1 o'clocker at home, man. It's gonna be a packed house. I could see him having a very tough time with getting that ball down the field. I could see that game going under. I know I was just thinking there's going to be a shootout, but I could see if the Eagles can do what they've been doing and keeping pressure, if they can stop those 2 running backs and give Lawrence not that much time, I think it's another win in the Eagles' favor.
Yeah, if you make that team one-dimensional and put it all on that kid's shoulders, they just don't have the tools on Jacksonville's defense. The Eagles are going to score.
Right.
And it's like, I keep thinking it's like, all right, they're going to come out slow this week. All right, next week they're going to come out slow. It's like if this week they come out slow, eventually with all the weapons and Jalen Hurts being the biggest one right now, I just don't see what you could possibly do to game plan to stop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys.
Yeah.
All of which are fast, all of which are strong. They could get you deep, short. It doesn't matter. It's like it's a play caller's dream.
Yeah, and if Hurts keeps playing that ball with no giveaways, no turnovers, you can't lose to Jacksonville, man. I think that's ultimately what it's going to come down to is don't give the ball away.
Yep.
Defense is going to do their thing, hopefully. I could see this game going under. I could see the Birds hopefully covering. I think a definite win if they keep the ball in their favor. And they're at home. But that's 6.5. Let's be careful here. Let's be careful.
Yeah, that's a touchy line.
Yeah.
I think we let that digest over the course of the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Matt, I thoroughly enjoed this. Enjoyed you coming
great
on.
Time.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me on the cast.
Everybody, tune in Sunday, 12 o'clock. We're giving out more winners. We're giving out more money. I don't know what else I could do for you. It's like everything. We're putting food on your table every Sunday.
Yep.
You're welcome.